Hello and welcome. My name is Jessica Gem. My name is Gemstone. Sorry. And we are back in Our Life, Beginning and Always. Thank you, Sky. Hello. How are you doing today? Sorry for being a bit late. I just finished up my food, but I'm ready to go now. Alright, so we're gonna get straight back in to where we left off. Which... Did I forget to save? Uh-oh. Alright, looks like I forgot to save last time. So we already did sandcastle and shopping. It's funny because you were about to go to bed, but never mind. Oh, well, don't let me keep you up. I do appreciate you being here, but if you need to sleep, you need to sleep. And I totally get that. So please do not, miss out on sleep just to stay here with me. Alright, now I can't remember which one we hadn't done yet. It's the weekend? Valid. Fair enough. Still happy to have you here then. Alright. So let me just, apologies, quickly check what we left off on from last time. Don't have friends to go out and party with? Who needs parties? It's fun to just hang out where it's comfortable. Alright, so it looks like we had done all of them except grown up. So we'll go ahead and do that. Well, this is more fun anyway. I'm glad you think so. I enjoy this as well, much more than I would a social gathering. I really wish it had saved. Well, I really wish I had remembered to save. Anyway, so we had already done these three, so long day was our last one to take care of. If it's okay with you, I think I might just quickly, click through these. I think there's a way to skip, but if not, then I will just load the save. Okay, I am going to try to pick the same ones. Okay, cool. So it does have a skip, so it looks like you can just get different endings and stuff, different options, which is very convenient. I made a castle. I used a green piece of sea glass. I did not look because that's not polite. That sounds supportive. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. Thanks for telling me. Let's build another. Apologies. I think I asked. Alright. So once we get back, we can make sure that we have all the interactions that we took. Just in case that matters in the future. Because I don't want to miss out on anything just because I forgot to save. So I actually might want to change this one, because this one, he had just said that his dad was making me spend time with him, and last time I did this one, but then it kept mentioning secrets. No, I'm gonna stick with what I went. And no contact, because some people don't like that, me included. I don't feel the need. Sorry, just trying to recall. I'm just gonna be silent for a minute while I go ahead and... Oh, I think I might have clicked a different one this time. Okay, and then I used that one. Jem's thinking intensifies, yeah. I'm just trying to remember the different things that I picked so that we get the same relationship status, I guess, the same amount of friendship and stuff. I don't know if it actually matters because I think it's just a general attitude that you pick at the beginning of each, but still want to make sure we're on the same page as last time. Ah, okay. I did guess the right one. That one... I walked past the toys. I chose the turtle because it's sparkly. Oh, this was pretzels, right? He got a cinnamon one, so I'll go with that. Okay. Aw. Okay. So long day was the one we need to actually do. Oh, wait. Maybe not. Ah, man. Rats. Oh, why am I like this? Apologies, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. Which one was it? We hadn't done Grown Up yet. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm the worst. New save here. Okay. We're gonna go over it really quick. I remember the stuff now. I remember what we're doing now, so should be quicker. I'm gonna pick all the same ones again. Apologies, I'm so sorry. Ah. So Grown Ups is the one we haven't done. I have such a bad memory. Thanks. Okay. Save. New save. Saved. We're gonna do it right this time. Well, I'm going to do it right. That is completely my mistake. Okay, almost. Save. Overwrite that one. Yeah. Okay, we're almost there. Whoops. That was a different answer than I thought it was. There we go. Eh? Ah, there we go. We're not gonna ding dong dash them. That's rude. Alright. It was... I feel like this one may come up later, actually, so... There we go. Okay. There we go. Apologies. We're back in it now. 20 minutes late. Alright. Ah, one of the joys of me as a person. Alright. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mommy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. Golf class? Okay. The three of you had had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly, a light came over Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyways. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play. Aw, okay. Why? I said why, and it'll be fun. Duh. What do they do inside that we don't? Besides use the phone a lot. Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove. Do you want to? I don't know. Please, Gemstone? When have I ever had a bad idea? Whenever we play with you. I wasn't asking you. Oh no. You kept hesitating. Oh, sorry. You look down at your hands, still unsure. Apparently tired of waiting for you to make up your mind, Lizzie sighed.
Fine. Go play over there, Gemstone.
You flinched from her raised voice. It definitely wouldn't be fun to join now.
Me and Cove will do it ourselves. It's decided.
He looked back at you regretfully.
Now go on.
Nodding goodbye to the two of them, you trailed off to find something else to do. Like he promised, Cove stayed put with Lizzie for the next couple of hours while you read a book. You could hear them talking as you sat with a book by the window. You opened the picture book in your lap and immediately got lost in the story. It was about a little donkey who grew up on a farm, making friends with all the animals and pretending to be like them. You liked the part where she swam around in the pond with the ducks. It always made you laugh. You finished that book and went to get another, but before you could choose one, you noticed that Lizzie and Cove's voices were getting much louder. Wow, rough, yeah. I'm assuming that's for the parents' stuff, yeah. Curious about what was happening, you craned your neck to hear them better. At first, you mostly only picked up on Lizzie's high-pitched shouting, giving orders, telling Cove what to do, yelling about sports and the Olympics. That was pretty typical for Lizzie, so there was nothing new there. But then you started hearing Cove more and more as time went on. It sounded like they weren't having a very good time. You went to see what was going on. You abandoned your cozy reading spot to go check what was happening with them.
Are you okay in here?
From up close, you could see that your sister was red-faced and pouting, while Cove mostly just looked confused. Neither one paid you mind.
Shut up, Cove! You're being so unreasonable. You... I don't get what you want. The scheme doesn't make sense. It does! You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not.
The argument was so high-strung that it was making you a little bit uncomfortable. They get me so well. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Had the two of them been arguing like this the whole time? Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging on to the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove.
Lizzie, Gemstone, it's time to get ready to go.
Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Their mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. In the cold? Thought it was hot. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But... Bye, Gemstone. There was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight. Okay. Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? You told the truth.
They were fighting, Cove and Lizzie, for the whole time.
Well, I'm not gonna be a snitch, but... I would probably just stay silent in that situation. Your sister's jaw dropped. Jaw dropped. Okay, I can read. Looking betrayed, as Mom put both her hands on her hips. Elizabeth! I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown.
I know, I tried, but he was...
No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We are going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her.
Okay, Mom.
Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. All right, we better get a move on. Let's go, kids. Noelani, where did you leave the car keys? Noelani, I think is Mommy's name? Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. I'm pretty sure this is just straight up like a picture of a car with a filter on it. If not, then it's very well done. Actually, it might be... No, it is drawn. Okay, never mind, that's cool. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Anything. A thing. Oh, my brain. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you would like to listen to. You chose a song you knew Lizzie liked. Maybe that would cheer her up. You were happy to see it brightened her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. There we go. Now she'll enjoy golf practice. Golf practice? That sounds so bougie. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. Aw, lovely. Earlier, you'd only caught the tail end of your sister's argument with Cove, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly, she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips. Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good, let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. She was being mean to our friend. I know how that type of person can get because I was kind of like that when I was younger. I was a little bit bossy, so I regret it. But I know how it can be irritating. You hadn't liked doing it, but had to. Being a tattletale didn't feel good, and you wouldn't want someone else to tell your moms everything you did. Still, your mom had asked directly, and you wanted to be a liar even less. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began to dial. Bossy, you? Wow, okay, I'm surprised. Well, I was the oldest sister, so, you know. There was a certain level of, I decided what games. I wasn't like terrible bossy, at least I hope, but I did like my own way. It's also like related to neurodivergence and stuff, but that's not an excuse for it. So I was a little bit controlling when I was younger. Again, not like crazy, but more than look back on and wish I wasn't. Lizzie oh, and began to dial. Bring, bring. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple of times, then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly.
Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Lizzie Hoseki? What a surprise! But of course, you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Noelani, Gemstone, and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. You spoke up and said hello too.
Hi.
The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. There's this little like pixel here, and I just tried to wipe it off my screen. I thought it was a bug or something, but it's just a pixel. Probably from one of the frames or something.
No. Well, yes, but it's going to be okay.
Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove? A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good. You didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far, because you could still hear him calling out. Cove, there's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. Gemstone's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi? It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad. Hi. Aw.
Hey. It's Lizzie.
Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again.
Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms, while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really. You can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though.
Um, bye, Lizzie. Bye. Bye, Gemstone.
You perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled, even if you couldn't see it.
Bye, Cove.
With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left, since Mr. Holden spoke up. All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention.
Can I go now, too?
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. You were glad that that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. A save. A new save. And then, summer ended. Yes. I never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms, Lizzie, and Cove as the five of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. Oh, that was kind of cute. It was indeed. Yeah, the the feeling of apologizing to like siblings and stuff is always so awkward, but definitely relieves a little bit of the tension. Well, sometimes. Alright. You like to imagine it cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we are so dull. Let's get out more.
He didn't do real magic, Mom.
How'd you figure that one out?
'Cause I know. That's not what real magic looks like.
Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. You looked over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset, though, just content. You're aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan.
Mom, summer's almost over.
The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. If it's getting close to summer, then I probably would ask to stay out a little bit later. It is almost over. You tried to be subtle about your little mumble, but you saw Mom look down at you from the corner of her eye and knew she heard. Evil!
Yeah, it would be evil to not let us play until dinner.
You weren't sure evil was a fair word choice, but nodded anyway. At times like this, you had to back each other up.
Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too.
Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot to the ground. Okay, well that's going a little farther. You mimicked her. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument. Hey, Potato, welcome. Indeed, more our life. We finished off the summer after Were you going through the things that I forgot to save? Twice. Sorry for being late. I'm at vacation and fought the ocean. Fought the ocean? I'm on phone, so sorry for the delay. All good. How's your vacation going? I hope you're having a fun time. And did you win? Well... Oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close to victory. All right. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside. Understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Cove, dear, you're welcome to join us as well. You sent him a small smile, which he returned. I fought the ocean and lost. Oh no. Well, I hope at least it was a rewarding fight. But how are y'all? I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Other than a little defeated from the ocean. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelet and tie some trinkets. Ooh, or maybe the playground. Or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? I lost more than spirit. I lost flesh, tears, and so much salt in my mouth. Oh man, but doing great getting barbecue later. Heck yeah. That extra salt will be great on the fries. We can't get too far. Lizzie pouted as you pointed this out. Mom said to be back in time for dinner. It won't take that long. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself. Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? Oh, I love it when there's like a cold breeze at the end of summer. Gorgeous. That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mother's had gone. Aww. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots of plans if I want to make the most of tomorrow. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most out of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. I had the same ocean experience during my surf training this week. Oh man. The ocean is indeed a formidable opponent. Sometimes it's okay to lose as long as you learn from the experience, though. Indeed, sounds nice. I hope you had fun. Meanwhile, Cove was going in the opposite direction, heading for the beach. You stayed with Cove. We're staying with Cove. We're enjoying our last moments of summer. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return. Ah. He made a little gesture that you interpreted as "follow me," and started heading towards the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossed it out into the water. You were impressed over how far he got it to go. It sailed way out into the sea. You looked for your own rock. Deciding to join Cove, you searched nearby for any rocks or shells that you could throw too. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. When you looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Whoops. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face. I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. When do you get it off? Cove shrugged and didn't say anything. For a second, you thought maybe he didn't know, but finally he sighed. A few weeks. That is a while away. You thought for something else to say, something positive, but words wouldn't come, as was usual for you. How do they know me so well? Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand.
I can't believe summer's almost over.
You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change.
I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school.
I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that.
Cool. You're going to like it. Everyone's super nice.
You'd only ever been to the one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends, and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were wet. Buddy. You'd never had to move. You'd never had to move before. Sorry. You'd never had to. Sorry. Moving every 3 years, who? You'd never had to move before, but you thought you could understand. If you had to go to a new school all of a sudden, with all new people, you'd probably be dreading it too. Though I guess my moving wasn't as crazy because we mostly stayed in the same area, like in the same city, and I was homeschooled, so it's not like I had to meet new people just because of moving, but yeah. Oof. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure how to help.
Okay. I'll see you later.
Cove gave his head a small shake. Evil Gem laugh. The giggle of knowing the truth, yeah.
No, I want to go back home.
Right. Cove wanted to go back to his old home. The one that sat waiting someplace far from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. Jim backstory drop. Yeah. Yeah. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. You settled back into the sand, trying to consider what to do.
It'll be alright.
Sometimes when you were sad about something, your mom said that to you. In the moment, you thought it couldn't possibly be alright, because Sir Stuff-a-Lot lost his arm, or you skinned your knee, or you couldn't possibly finish all your vegetables. But in the end, they were always right. Oh, he's crying.
You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around?
Oh, abandonment issues from his mother. Oh no. The question was a little surprising.
Of course.
Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod.
Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming.
You're fine with him changing the subject again.
Okay.
You had to say swimming did sound fun, even if it was already getting chilly out. Cove smiled, then looked back to the waves.
My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually. That I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything.
You spared a glance over at Cove, and saw the anger had slipped off his face, in favor of something almost puzzled.
But maybe that would be okay after all. As long as I really do feel better. I can't see it.
You could remember a long time ago when you first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day, listening to strangers tell you what to do, and sit with kids you'd never met before. Things changing is hard. What was said right before this? There was a description in between the text and the answer. Oh no. Help. I don't remember. Oh man. I'm not gonna hold his hand because that feels intrusive. I wasn't that type of kid who would just like. You can use your mouse wheel to dial things back? Oh! Whoa! So if you want to remake a choice to read something again? That's so cool! Thank you! Oops. Ah, I can't see it. Okay. Time travel, indeed. Indeed, indeed. Most VNs have that, but they never tell you? That's so helpful to know, oh my goodness. Because sometimes I'm just like so into it that I click past before even reading it properly. Awesome. Thank you for the tip.
I'll make sure you do.
Cove laughed, just a little, but you grinned, proud you were able to drag one out of him when he was obviously feeling down. Even still, a second later his eyes got a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though.
I hope next summer I'll surf and go exploring and everything will feel like it's supposed to again.
You gave a little nod, resting your head on your own knees. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place as his new home. You'd definitely try to help, in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had gone by really fast. You stood and dusted the sand off yourself.
My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come.
Cove looked up at you, expressions screaming reluctance. Yet ultimately...
Okay.
When you smiled, Cove returned with one of his own.
Gemstone.
That was really good timing. It was nice, where you were right then. But the two of you couldn't stay here in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. Wow! In between. Oh hey! we can change stuff if we want. Oh, is this like as they get older? Ah. Maybe we'll go for a bit of a different hair color. Or hairstyle, I mean. Not hair color. That's the same because it's gemstone. We've got to keep in mind what it was before, so it has to stay similar. Maybe it got pushed to the other side? Let's see. It's cool, right? It is indeed. I don't really think I should change anything like about them in general, but it's definitely good to have the option to like mess with stuff a little bit. Maybe this one? Wow, yeah. This is a little bit longer part on the other side. It took like 5 years for the hair to get pushed. Yeah. Oh, is it like 5 years later? Maybe we'll do a longer hair then. And then go back to that in the future. That could work. P.S. You're like 13 in this step? Whoa, okay. Ooh. Oh yeah, I forgot the hair back is separate. Let's go to the proper color and then we can actually see what we're doing here. That's pretty cute. Short one. I did wear a lot of ponytails, but that's when I was a little bit older. So we'll go with this one. Next step, you're 18. That's where I would be wearing a lot of ponytails. They were not flattering, but I wore them all the time for some reason. But yeah, this looks good for 13. I was messy haired. And I do actually have freckles, but Gemstone doesn't, so we'll go with none. I did get my ears pierced at 13 though, so we could do some little earrings. I did not get triple piercings. Let's go with the little hoop. You can see that behind the hair. Potato with the helpful plot info, indeed. Very helpful. Alright. I had braces when I was 18, so we'll go with that later. Alright, done. Okay. Relax, because we've known him for a while. Should we go with fond again? I don't think I was developing crushes yet when I was just 13. I didn't really know. Well, a little bit, but I didn't really know what to do with it. So we'll just go with fond. Relaxed fondness. That sounds good. For 13. Choose to customize Cove for yourself or let his prior experiences determine it. Ooh. Appearance, personality, both, neither. Personality? That's fine, I wasn't gonna change stuff anyway. I'm just gonna let the story go how it go. August ended, September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like a sign Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school, he was all right, but kept his distance from the other kids. From what you saw, anyway. You can roll back? Yeah. But I'm gonna leave it how it is. I just wanted to, Whoa. There's so many pages. To get sneak peek at the Cove appearance? Nah, we're gonna find out naturally. Whenever he could, Cove stuck to you like glue. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass the time, as long as it was together. Aww. Oh. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. At first, you worried that meant bad news. It had made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cove would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too. For different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He said that he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. He seemed very confident that it was an effective strategy. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents, and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed. Still, you worried about him. You could tell he wasn't completely happy. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal, except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed, and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes, too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without it initially. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked across his forearm. Cove's cheeks flushed with shy pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove will probably hold that spot again next time. In class, people knew him for being more than just tall. He also stood out because of how well he did in gym and other athletic situations. Over the years, he became more quiet and reserved. You didn't usually see him talking to other people. More quiet and reserved. That's a mood, though. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little, Shiloh, well, he was gone. He and his mom moved back south because of her work, just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. Oh, poor Lizzie. You learned some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remembered calling her Mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for the word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth, so you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from school who were her own age. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. Yeah, it really is. You started befriending new people like yourself. New people yourself, like Derek Suarez. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cove's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area every now and then. It seemed Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work, if Derek had the time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed, in small and big ways. You had too. As time went by, though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over, and summer vacation had come again. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were snuggled up in bed, celebrating your time off by sleeping in. It was hot, but you still had the blanket up over your head to block out the sun. You didn't want it intruding on your lazy morning. Oh my goodness. Got to go, but have a great day and night, y'all? Alrighty, Potato. Thank you for joining in. Keep on being cool. And you as well, Potato. Have a great day or night. It was good to see you. Unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion. From beneath the blanket, you heard the door creak open. Whoa! Quick hydration break, everyone, and then we'll continue on. The jump, 5 years, wow. Alright. You're still sleeping? Wow, get up.
Morning. Morning. Now get up. I will come over there.
So much for a lazy morning.
Mom told me to tell you that your friend's at the door. He brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him. Say thanks or whatever. So come down already. Be right there.
Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. You rolled out of bed, stretching your arms up high and yawning. Seeing or hearing the word yawn always gets me. Time to get ready. You sat yourself in front of the mirror in the far corner of your room. You're pretty short. You could relate to Derek and how it felt to be smaller than people thought you ought to be. Your shortness seemed even more drastic when compared to Cove, who was unusually tall. You weren't sure how to feel about it. Things kept changing. With the height you actually had, and what the impression of that height was based on your age, it was confusing. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cove was up to, so this worked in your favor. Your reflection grinned back at you. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs. Step 2, second chance. You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was perusing through. Morning, Mom. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face. Thanks. Ah, cute! Good morning, Gemstone. Thank you for coming down. Ma's at the door with Cove. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? You nodded and made your way to the front of the house. Just as she said, Ma was there making conversation. She must have heard you, because she looked over her shoulder. Ah, cute purple. Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward, and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average for an adult woman, so at your height, you were absolutely tiny in her eyes. By this point, I kind of had, 13. What was I like at 13? Probably laughed. Ma could be so ridiculous, you thought, but that was okay. You pushed your hand back and laughed. You're the last one down today, you know that? Life isn't a race. Funny. I don't think that excuse will work for you if you're late for anyone other than your own mother, though. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cove was just as you remembered. Exactly how you came to know him to be. It's like, don't forget, this is how you know him already. Whoa. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in your doorway, as the longer strands of his hair idly drifted with the breeze. His features were pinched in embarrassment, and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be the much-talked-about gift. At first glance, is it a fruit bouquet? At first glance you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers, then you gave it a real look. No, instead it was carefully cut fruit. It made a lot of sense that it was actually from Cove's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. Cute anime boy, yeah. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. Is Cove's dad trying to set up 13-year-olds? It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove was always be roped into participating, Cove smiled at. Oh, that's so cute. Cove smiled at the sight of you. The sting of his goofy errand he was clearly embarrassed to be on eased.
Hey, Gemstone.
You smiled back. It was second nature to you. Cove had always been such a close friend, ever since the two of you were kids.
Hey, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. We heard his voice, so I know where to go now. Your grin widened even more. Every time he came, your mood was brightened. It was already shaping up to be another long summer, with plenty of time for the two of you to have fun together. His awkwardness over the task started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. And with that, the gift was accepted. Oh, we can see him much better now. His little curls on the side are so cute.
Well, that's everything.
Though he said that, he made no move to go. You could tell he was reluctant to. Neighborly, yeah, quote unquote neighborly. Oh, that Mr. Holden.
Thank you. Could you tell your dad we love the gift?
Yeah. Mr. Holden's behavior really was different from any neighbor you'd ever had. Though, after 5 years, you were used to his antics. And you'd since made up your mind on what your opinion was. I can have a crush on his dad. Oh, why is that an option? I'm 13. But also my first crush that I remember was Legolas from Lord of the Rings when I was like 11, so... I also just randomly visit my neighbors with flowers, yeah. He was great. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. I don't know who this is. Vague, in-between voice. There you are. You shared a confused look with Cove. As one, both of you stepped through the open door onto the neighborhood street. Derek! It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek, just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. Ah, his scar is so cool! Confused at the sight of him. You hadn't expected to see Derek today, though you never really knew when he'd appear. Ah! After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin. Hey, guy and gal. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Aw, he's so adorable. Look at his little fluffy hair. Should have figured you'd be at Gemstone's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you always just there? Aw, Derek ships it. Ah, yes, dads, the most attractive kind of people. Listen, I'm an adult woman, so I don't really find the 13-year-old attractive, but the dad, though. Anyway. Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was what he was actually laughing at. Oh, he's blushing. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened and he gasped. Flowers?
What's that?
You followed his gaze, unsure. Then you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift.
This? It's kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but made out of fruit.
Can I have some?
Sure, we can share.
Derek grew more excited by your words, bouncing on the balls of his feet. I'm sorry, Cove. I know you probably wanted me to have it.
Awesome!
Then he nodded his head, as if to clear it.
Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big.
He paused, possibly for effect.
There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird.
Is Shiloh back? Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through.
Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself, just walking.
Did you talk to him?
I came to report the sighting right away.
Also, why is Cove's shirt just open? I know, right? I noticed that earlier. I was like, I mean, I guess it is summer, so fair enough, but like messy 13-year-old, I guess?
Green hair. The kid had green hair, glasses, and was pretty small, and seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave.
Whoops. Is it Shiloh? You blinked. Slowly, you looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cove. When you first got here, anyway.
Oh, yeah. I guess that was me back then.
Derek snickered good-naturedly.
I can see that really well now that you say so. But what do you say? Let's go find Cove's look-alike. We should all meet him.
I'll do it. Or, I'll do it. Sure, I want to see who this person is. Derek grinned. Then he pointed down the street the way he came.
Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going in this direction.
Nothing else needed to be said. The 3 of you were off, with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio, you made your way down to the shore to the old playground. You walked along the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He scuffled around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true. He certainly seemed upset. But you didn't think he was sad like you had originally pictured. No, with his erratic movements and scrunched-up expression, he came off angry. You started to have doubts about this expedition. Maybe it'd be better if you left him alone and let him sort himself out. You shared a look with Cove. He was equally reluctant to start up a conversation. Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy.
Hey guy, over here!
Oh goodness, look at this little friend! Who is this little guy? Oh no. The kid whipped around, an impressive scowl carving deeper onto his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong, hostile energy still radiated from him.
What is it? What do you want?
The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet.
What's your name? Jeremy. Was that it? I'm Derek. That's Gemstone and Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi.
There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so you know, it's cool to see someone else here.
Oh, goodness. 2 introverts, 1 extrovert? Indeed. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's so funny. Oh, man. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have happened then.
They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it.
What? Cove is so tall, that's so funny.
They're the ones who brought me. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure this out on your own?
Oh, he's terrible. Love the bowl cut. Yeah, it definitely doesn't help.
Right. My dad brought me to... Oh,
this is Derek. I was like, wait, what?
Right. My dad brings me to Sunset Bird, too. when he has to come for work and all that stuff. It's not bad.
That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy.
I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation, probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time. A chore. My parents' family is nearby, and we just had to come see them. Ugh!
If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too? I guess. Oh. Poor little angry child.
That's a pretty good reason to come by.
Do you want to go somewhere else?
No!
Sorry, I might be having too much fun with this. Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff. He turned away.
They should have gone by themselves since they cared so much and left me home. But I'm not allowed to be by myself. Pfft. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid?
Ah, genius kid. Kind of head in the clouds parents, perhaps? Peed in your cereal this morning. Oh no. Gross. Probably try and diffuse it a little bit.
Sorry, it must suck to be made to do something you don't want to. As if that does anything.
You turn to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have had good hearing, though, because he caught the private exchange and scoffed. Oh! I'm punching this kid. I'm kidding.
Ugh, of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid.
Coming from someone with a bulk. Anyway. Oh no! Oh, his mouth matches his eye. I'm sorry. His mouth is so cute. Alright. Derek, bruh. Cove's cheeks flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger. Maybe both.
Come on.
How can you say that when you got a bowl cut? Oh, this game is so fun.
No, Cove's wavy eyebrows are so cool.
Cove smiled weakly. Ah, bullying is fine. No.
Now I know why you thought we had anything in common. You must be blind.
Can I punch him? You punched toward him. Bullying is fine if the kid deserves it. No, that's how we end up with bad situations. Oh my man. Alright. Rolled your eyes, crossed your arms, shook your head, patted Cove, lunged. Well, I'm finding this terribly amusing, but as a kid I would probably be a little bit uncomfortable. Blind boy, you was wearing glasses. Yeah. I'm finding this hilarious. I kind of want to do this, but the others are obviously not feeling that way, so I don't really want to, antagonize. And as a child, I wouldn't, I'll try and... What I've done. Cross your arms over your chest. You were getting really tired of this.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's work in a nasally voice.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
I got his voice down. I'm really good at guessing voices.
This is dumb.
Jeremy stuck out his tongue and skulked away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over, until he became a speck in your vision. Okay then. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened.
I can't believe it. What a mean kid.
Derek wasn't kidding. And by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in this area for at least a little while this summer. Yikes. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping onto the ground. You followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
I was hoping we could meet someone fun. Hang out, maybe.
He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression.
But, you know what would really improve the day? What?
He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point, right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. You had completely forgotten about it during the mini-drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to the wait. They need to stop peering into my life. Glancing over to Cove, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must want some too. Okay, I feel like this is saying either we save it and bring it home so that everyone can have some, or we eat the whole thing here. And I don't really want to eat the whole thing because it was a gift for our family. Not me save scumming. I'm just gonna see what happens. Why not? Let's eat. Derek perked up immediately at your words. He reached out for a skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches away. You nodded. With an eager grin, he plucked out a prime row of fruits. Cove grabbed one for himself as well. Only you were without a skewer of your own. Ooh. We get to choose which type. Pineapple, grape, strawberry, melon. Okay. Alright, let me think. So, pineapple, I do like, but I also sometimes it really makes my mouth itchy. Grapes are yummy, strawberries are yummy, melons are yummy. More people don't like melons, so I'd probably take that and save the yummier ones for other family members. My brother would like that one, my sister would like that one, my youngest sister wouldn't like anything. But this is just me. But anyway, I would probably take the melon one because other people like the other ones better. The melon was cut to look like a star. It was the obvious first choice. Derek ate a pineapple skewer enthusiastically, finishing it within moments.
This is amazing.
Cove continued munching on his, making a small noise with his mouth full.
Ah! Hey, you two remember The Land Before Time? That fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all liked the leaves that were shaped like stars.
Who doesn't like melons? Well, I'm just saying in comparison to the other fruits. Melons are pretty good, but strawberries though, grapes though? They're not the first thing I would reach for, but they are something that I would always take if it was there.
Tree stars. Yeah, chomping leaves looked so delicious when they did it. And there was that scene with the pretty trees, and all the dinosaurs came in and picked everything off them till there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome!
I don't remember. I have seen it. I did like it. Screw that. Mood. Like eating leaves, not the worrying.
Do you think things taste better when they're shaped like stars?
He snickered.
Not everything, but it probably helps.
The three of you continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually, the display was barren. It looked weird when devoid of fruit.
Hey, we weren't supposed to eat all of it. Really?
You couldn't stop yourself from sighing at the boys. You just wanted to eat some and have a nice time. Now you were probably going to get in trouble. You could only accept it, though.
Hey, Gemstone?
Yeah? The two of you met eyes casually. Casually meets eyes.
Thanks for what you said back then. It's nice not everybody thinks like that guy. Oh, it's okay. He was just being a jerk.
Derek chimed in strongly.
Don't listen to it, Cove. He's the problem. People shouldn't say those kinds of things.
Yeah. Derek then leaned back on his arms. He contemplated the sky with a content sigh.
So, are you both ready for summer break? Yeah. Cool on you. I wish I could say the same. It feels like there's a lot to plan for. And what about you, Cove? Are you ready?
I think that depends. Wait. I think that depends. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered.
Gemstone!
You glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. Uh-oh. Okay.
I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cove ran off with the thing Mr. Holden bought for us.
She leered over you with arms folded.
So, where is it?
Well, it's gone.
What do you mean, gone?
You moved over to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on the bouquet in your hands, which was now populated exclusively with skewers dripping in juice and tiny flecks of leftover fruit pieces. Her mouth dropped open, and the tone of her voice rose.
Seriously, Gemstone? What were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home.
She glanced at Cove, who sat beside you, and continued mockingly.
Even if you did have an in with the delivery boy, this was up to Mr. Holden.
Cove gave you a bent smile of support, which didn't help disprove her accusation. Sorry, Elizabeth. Elizabeth narrowed her eyes, not at all placated.
Oh no. I think I hear the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here.
Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around.
What kid? I don't see anyone.
Derek didn't bother explaining. He just launched to his feet and ran off. Wow. Cove hopped up too, gladly taking the opportunity to exit the situation. He followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you from over his shoulder. You turned to watch Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. I should probably stay. You didn't make a break for it. Instead, you carefully got up from the sand, bouquet still in hand. Once you straightened up, Elizabeth smiled affectionately over at you. Aww. I thought she was gonna keep yelling at me. Come on, fugitive. You nodded, then gazed at the empty bouquet. How do you explain what happened? Oh, how would you explain? You know, you could tell them those boys ate it all. They bailed, so they don't get to tell the story. Moms would never need to find out.
Are you serious?
She bumped your shoulder, winking cheekily.
What else is family for?
You laughed together, making your way home side by side. I think if our moms get angry at us for eating fruit, there's a slight problem. When you and Elizabeth had returned earlier with the empty bouquet, Mom was bummed that she didn't get anything. Ma consoled her with a promise to make her a fruit flower of her own later. Yeah, I mean, like, it is nice to have for sure, but I think it should be understandable that, a bunch of kids out on a summer day being handed a bouquet of fruit would just eat it, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I get both sides. Elizabeth said nothing about how it came to be empty, and the event was dropped without question. You'd think they were just happy you and your sister seemed to be in good moods. That was a while ago now. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. Your fingers drummed on the surface as you waited, your gaze trained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from your cousin Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they'd moved and were closer to you than ever before. You now hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's going to want to come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth, too. But now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to be just you and Lee who spent time together. 15-year-old mood. She was your only friend who was a girl. You weren't all that close with any other girls your age. But you didn't really have a lot of other friends either. Mom always said that quality was more important than quantity when Elizabeth bemoaned your small social circle. You weren't sure how friendship quality was judged, but nevertheless, you thought that what you had with Lee was good. Then the shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped, before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Hello?
Hi, Gemstone, it's Lee. I'm glad it's you. For a second there, I thought it might be one of Elizabeth's friends.
There was static on the end, as if Lee was shifting wherever she was.
So, can you believe school is actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff, and we get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out... Lee, can you wait a second? Let me just head to my room.
You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily, the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords tying you down. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in progress, which is why you'd been sat by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. You thought that made sense. It was nice to keep everything in its proper place. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You made your way up the stairs, smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed.
All right, I'm here. Hey, did you know the girl from down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Wow, really?
The thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you.
Right? I wish I had one too. But my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I'm more grown up. I wish they'd change their mind. We could call each other every single day, and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be?
Really great. We could even stay up late, talking about whatever we want. Lee sighed thoughtfully into the receiver.
At least they said I could have it someday. I can't wait.
She sighed dramatically.
I bet I'm not gonna get one all until I'm all the way in college. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over, and you'd have to choose whether or not to go to a college. School was such a big part of your life right now. Studying didn't come easily to you, though you tried hard. You knew it was important, and you wanted to do well. Frustratingly, even your best didn't ever seem to be quite good enough. You didn't know how it could be harder. You hoped you would do just as well this year, but it wouldn't be a big deal if they dropped them. Grades weren't the most important thing, no matter how good or bad they ended up being. Yeah. You tried to sound engaged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be fooled. You sound so spacey. What's up? Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it? 'Cause it's summer? That's what I'm doing. Come on, it's too scary not to think about it. No matter how much you wanted to enjoy your free time, the creeping dread of knowing that it would come to an end was always there beside you. I get what you mean. Though I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some good things there. You can just do more when school's out. Learning new things can be cool. I just wish everyone did okay with how they taught the things, not just some people. Oh my goodness, it's me. Gym is pretty great, though. There was all sorts of sports stuff during gym. Oh yeah, it can be fun, sometimes. But that was all. And that's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken. Now I decree the topic of school is officially closed. We have to talk about the summer first before we start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Ooh, tell me. I'm gonna visit my cousins. You chuckled, of course. What's something you want to do? The first thing that comes to your head. When I was this age, reading. Wow, this got personal really quickly. Yeah. Let me know if you read anything good, unless it's scary or sad. Sure. You leaned back in your bed, settling in as you continued chatting with your friend. Even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her and you'd be seeing her soon, you found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day. You sat up straighter. I was with Cove and Derek today, and we met a new kid. Like, at your neighborhood? Mm-hmm. His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? Mean. He kept snapping when all we were trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone. Especially Cove. It was awful. I don't think I want to meet him. You want a boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected twist. Your cousin was pretty popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around, until they started to annoy her. Who are you to talk? Cove and Derek are always around. They're both boys, you know. That's true. Leah laughed at your affirmation, deeply amused. Even though she couldn't see, you shook your head at her, grinning to yourself. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister. She flung the door open, a frown etched on her face. The little adventure from earlier hadn't gotten you any goodwill this time, it seemed. How long are you going to hog the phone? Glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand, the other one lodged on her hip. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up. Gotta go. I'll see you soon, okay? Okay, see you. Tell Elizabeth and your moms I said hi too. You barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the handset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Your ma's voice called from downstairs.
Hey, has anyone seen the phone?
I'm using it. With that, she shut your door behind you. Silence was left in the wake. That was one day to end your first day of summer break. Some time later, it had gotten dark outside, and you laid in bed wide awake. Your window rattled all of a sudden, startling you badly. You flinched, staring over at it with furrowed brows. Oh? From your vantage point, you saw only the moon and an open sky. You were confused. Curious? Curious. What had caused that noise? Cocking your head, you sat up and moved closer to the window. You wanted to get to the bottom of this. To your utter shock, your gaze was met by a pair of familiar ocean blue eyes. Those ocean eyes. Cove? You squinted. Yup, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was very angular, and some parts stuck out further than others, so it theoretically wouldn't be hard to climb around on. Still, just because somebody could didn't mean you expected it to ever happen. To his credit, Cove was doing fine. His feet were braced against the section of the wall that jutted out, his arms flexing with the effort to keep him upright. He easily lifted a hand and waved at you from the other side of the glass. You hurriedly opened the window. A sneaky nighttime visitor. Cove climbed over the ledge, releasing a breath once he was safely inside. Hey, hi, Gemstone. What are you doing? Visiting? Why? I wanted to see you. I figured this was the only way. If I rang the doorbell, I know your moms would have answered and they just made me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I don't want to talk about it. Well, besides with you, I mean. But that's why I did that. As unexpected as this was, you were touched. Cove felt like he could tell you what was wrong. I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cove suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to my mom. Still is, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cove had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation? You didn't comment. There were other things to talk about. Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened varied. Sometimes he would go during winter break, but usually he went during summer. Even though it was hard news when you found out he was leaving and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay with us here. You waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. What did your mom say? She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. Oh. You had heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about past memories, or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone, and another to actually meet them. Very soon, you were going to see Cove's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you could only imagine how Cove felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features pained with dread. Before, they barely stay in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're gonna all be together again? The three of us after all this time? Just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy they can talk to each other now. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out. And now I feel really bad for feeling this way. Gemstone, it's so... His fists tightened and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already, and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. I'm sorry, Cove. You know I'm here for you. Cove sniffled. You were afraid he might really start crying, but he didn't. Instead, he smiled. See? Now I feel kind of better. Sitting like this wasn't a bad idea. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You marveled at how the day started. You had woken up eager for summer vacation. But now, things seemed so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood being so rude, and as if all that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again? Your whole life was kind of like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just get better with time? Oh, you poor sweet summer child. Oh, goodness. Gemstone? The sound of your name, said quietly, pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed at you, concerned. Oh. Oh, me? I'm more worried about you. You don't have to forget about yourself for me. I want to listen to you, too. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. He had come here, conflicted and upset, only to end up worrying about you. He really was a great friend. You know, I think I don't want to talk anymore about this. He looked away, his lips thinning into a line, and rubbed at his arms. But I kinda don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer, just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn him away? I've got a flashlight and some cards. Are you in? You tilted your head, waiting patiently for his answer. Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing on his face. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at this sight somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight. You were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you'd never want to undo. It felt totally natural to let him into your little world. That initial friendship had deepened so much over these past years, and you were certain there was room to get even closer. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. You smiled gently at him. You had no idea how to make him feel better, though you wanted to try anyway. Hopefully your presence was helping. Conversation was stilted and broken often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get into your usual candor. As your secret hangout sessions stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped a day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cove felt the same. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your olive skin. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times, clearing the sleep from your eyes, before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together, trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. I suddenly hear snoring. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or stay snuggled up for a little while longer. Until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright and gasped in surprise. He never left. He was still here, in the morning. You froze.
Your muscles refused to move an inch, and your eyes widened as you stared at Cove's sleeping form in absolute shock. Okay, unfortunately, this is where we're gonna have to leave it for now, so I'm gonna save. We're gonna find out our reaction next time, but I do have to get ready for work. I have to leave in 5 minutes. So, thank you so much for joining. I hope that you enjoyed. This story is so pleasant and exciting, and I'm romantic lol indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes next time, but for now, I hope you had a wonderful time. Farewell, and have a wonderful day.